Good morning, students. So let us move ahead in the chapter electromagnetic induction. Today we will begin our discussion with the quantitative study and energy consideration. Say a rod PQ is placed on a U-shaped track on which it can slide freely, and it is placed in a magnetic field which is pointing in vertically downward direction perpendicular to the plane. Now, rod is moving with a constant velocity v. So due to the motion of the rod inside the magnetic field, an EMF is induced across its ends, and the value of EMF is equal to BLV. V is the constant velocity with which the rod is moving in the field, L is the length of the conductor, and B is the strength of magnetic field. So because of this induced EMF across the ends of the conductor, a current flows in it known as induced current, and the direction of induced current we can determine by using Fleming's right hand rule. The direction of induced current we can determine using Fleming's right hand rule. So using Fleming's right hand rule, we can find out the direction of induced current, and it will be the direction from P to Q. This is the direction of induced current. Because of this induced current, the conductor PQ experiences a magnetic force whose direction can be determined by using Fleming's left hand rule, and it will come along right side, that is opposite to the velocity of the rod. So in order to move this rod PQ against this magnetic force with a constant velocity v, external agent has to do work. He has to apply force equal to the magnetic force F. So power to be delivered by the external agent in order to move the rod with a constant velocity is given as P is equal to F into V, and force acting on the rod is I L B into V, and I is the induced current, which is equal to induced EMF by the resistance of the conductor L B V, and induced EMF expression for motional EMF BLV, so it is BLV by R whole square. So power delivered is equal to B square L square V square by R. So this much power an external agent has to apply on the rod in order to move it with a constant velocity v inside the magnetic field. Now let us find out the heat that is produced across the rod PQ due to the induced current. So heat produced per unit time is your I square, or you can write E square by R into T. So time is your 1 second, that is power. And in place of E, write the value. So it will be B square BLV, induced EMF is BLV. So P Joule's law of heating effect, it is B L V square by R. So Pj is your B square L square V square by R. So power delivered by the agent is equal to power lost across the rod in the form of the heat. So these two are equal. So according to law of conservation of energy, this is according to law of conservation of energy. The mechanical energy which is needed to move the rod PQ with constant velocity gets converted into electrical energy, which finally appears in the form of heat, and this conversion is consistent with the law of conservation of energy. Now our next topic is eddy current. Earlier we have studied about electromagnetic induced current, electromagnetic induction, that is whenever there is a change in magnetic flux across a conductor and EMF is induced across it, and hence a current flows in it known as induced current, and the EMF induced is known as induced EMF. Now what is eddy current? So what will happen whenever there is a change in the magnetic flux linked with a sheet of conductor or a block of conductor, then in that case a circulating current is set up in the bodies of the conductor, just like swirling eddies in water. You can see in the diagram the current that is set up in this sheet PQRS. Circulating current is set up in the body of the conductor. This current is known as eddy current. How it generates? It is generated due to changing magnetic flux across the sheet of the conductor, and the direction of induced current is given by Lentz's law. See, this is the experiment 1, in which a sheet of conductor is oscillating between the pole pieces of the magnet. Now, when there is no magnetic field, suppose the magnet or electromagnet, we are creating magnetic field using electricity, electromagnet. So when it is off, there is no magnetic field. In that case, this sheet of conductor oscillates freely. The moment we switch on the electromagnets, the oscillation of this sheet of conductor dies out very soon. Why is it so? It is because of the eddy current that is produced in the sheet of conductor. We know that eddy current is produced due to changing magnetic flux. So how its magnetic flux is changing? So when the sheet is oscillating in the magnetic field, when it is coming out of the field, at that time the area of the sheet inside the magnetic field goes on decreasing. So magnetic flux will decrease. That is the region of eddy current. When it is coming into the magnetic field, while oscillation, gradually the area of the sheet of the conductor within magnetic field goes on increasing, so magnetic flux will increase. So the AD current that is produced in the sheet of conductor opposes the cause of which produces it. So every time the motion of the conductor is being opposed. So when it is coming out of the field, magnetic flux is decreasing. So induced current will be such that magnetic flux will increase. So here the direction of induced current must produce a magnetic field in the direction of the applied field. Then only magnetic flux will increase. That is, the current, induced current, produces a magnetic field in the direction of applied field, this field. And that is possible when the current is set up in clockwise direction. Clockwise direction, then magnetic field will be in the direction of the applied field. So magnetic flux will increase. When it is getting into the field, when the sheet is coming into the magnetic field, magnetic flux will increase. So the direction of induced current is such that magnetic flux should decrease. That is, magnetic field produced due to induced current must be opposite to that of the applied field. So this time the direction of magnetic field will be in this direction. So it must be anti-clockwise. Induced current must be anti-clockwise. Then this will be the direction of magnetic field due to induced current, and hence magnetic flux will decrease. So in this way, AD current that is set up in the body of conductor opposes the cause which produces it. In second experiment, you can see slots are being cut in the sheet of the conductor. What is the role of these slots? So when no slot is there in the sheet of the conductor, the oscillation of the conductor dies out very soon. In order that it should oscillate for a longer duration, slots are being cut. That is, effect of AD current is reduced. How it is reduced? When slots are being cut, then induced current has to travel over longer distances. Now here current has to travel a longer path. So resistance will be high, hence AD current gets reduced. So oscillation will not die out very soon. See, in experiment 3, this is a disc which is placed at one end of this solenoid which is wrapped on a metallic pipe. When it is connected to AC source, this disc jumps up and down. Why it starts jumping? Due to AD current. How? Let us see. When current increases in the solenoid, magnetic flux linked with disc will increase, and that increasing magnetic flux sets up an AD current in the disc whose direction is such that it opposes the cause which produces it. That is, magnetic flux is decreasing, so magnetic flux should decrease. So when it will move up, magnetic flux will decrease. So when current increases, this disc will go up. When current decreases, the magnetic flux across the disc will decrease. So direction of AD current should be such that magnetic flux should increase, and hence this disc must come down so that magnetic flux across it should increase. So with increasing current, that this goes up. With decreasing current, it comes down. Now, AD currents are used to advantage in certain applications like magnetic braking in trains. Strong electromagnets are situated above the rails in some electrically powered trains. When the electromagnets are activated, the AD currents are induced in the rails, opposes the motion of the train as there is no mechanical linkages. The braking effect is smooth. Then electromagnetic damping, dying out of the oscillation, just we have seen. Then induction furnace. Induction furnace, due to AD currents, huge amount of heat will be produced across the sheet of the conductor, which sometimes sufficient to melt the conductor. So it is used in induction furnace. Then electric power meters also it is used. So these are the certain applications of AD currents in our day-to-day life. And its disadvantage is that in case of transformer, the different plates are insulated from each other by using varnish, and slots are being cut in the sheet of conductor before winding coils overheat it to minimize the effect of AD currents. Now our next topic is self-induction. Very easy. This is a coil which is connected with a battery along with a tapping key. Now when this key is closed, tapping key is closed, current starts growing in the coil. This increasing current increases magnetic field across the coil, and hence magnetic flux across it will also increase, and this increasing magnetic flux produces an induced EMF in the coil which opposes the growth of the current in the coil. So it increases gradually. So this phenomena is known as self-induction. So we can define it, the phenomena in which an opposing EMF is induced in a coil. Why? Due to changing current or changing magnetic flux linked with the coil itself. This phenomena is known as self-induction. At any instant, if phi is the magnetic flux linked with the coil and I is the current that is flowing in the coil, then it is found that phi is proportional to I. So phi is equal to L into I, where L is a proportionality constant known as coefficient of self-induction or self-inductance. So if I is equal to 1 ampere, phi is equal to L into I, or phi is equal to L if I is 1 ampere. So coefficient of self-inductance or self-inductance is numerically equal to magnetic flux linked with the coil when unit current flows through it. We know that E is equal to minus d phi by dt. Now substitute the value of phi here. So E is equal to minus d by dt of L into I, or it is equal to minus L di by dt. If we consider the magnitude only, then we can write L is equal to E by di by dt. So if di by dt is equal to 1 ampere per second, then L is equal to E. So L is equal to E if di by dt is equal to 1 ampere per second. 1 ampere per second. So self-inductance of a coil is numerically equal to induced EMF produced across it when rate of change of current through the coil is unity. So this is how we can define self-inductance. And what is self-induction? Now SI unit of self-inductance, SI unit of self-inductance is Henry, 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 and it is represented by symbol capital H. Henry represented by capital H. So we can define 1 Henry by using either of these two expressions. Say phi is equal to L into I. So L is equal to E by di by dt. So if E is equal to 1 volt and di by dt is equal to 1 ampere per second, then L is equal to 1 Henry. So self-inductance of a coil is said to be 1 Henry if an induced EMF of 1 volt is produced across it due to unit rate of change of current through it. Now our next topic is energy stored inside an inductor. See, as soon as we close the key, current starts growing in the inductor, and hence an EMF is induced inside in the conductor, which opposes the growth of the current. In order to send the current in the coil, the source of EMF has to do work, and this work, which is done by the source of EMF, is stored inside the inductor in the form of magnetic field. Energy in the stored as energy, and it is stored in the form of magnetic field inside the inductor. So expression for energy stored inside the conductor, suppose at t equal to 0, the current in the inductor will also be 0. At any time t, let I is the current flowing in the inductor, and di by dt is the rate of growth of current in the inductor at that instant. So induced EMF across it is given as L di by dt in magnitude only. Now work which is done by the source of EMF in order to send the current I for a very small interval of time, say dt, will be given as work done is equal to charge into potential difference. So potential difference is induced EMF, against it we have to send the current, and charge which we have to send. So in dt time, in order to maintain current I dt amount of charge will flow. So I dt. So work done is equal to L di by dt I dt. So this work done is equal to Li di. So this a small amount of work is to be done by the source of EMF in order to send a current I for a very small interval of time dt. So total amount of work which is to be done by the source in order to send current from I equal to 0 to its maximum value I is equal to I, the total amount of work which is to be done is integration of dw from 0 to I, that is w is equal to L I di from 0 to I, solving which we get half Li square, and this work done is stored as energy inside the conductor in the form of magnetic field. So expression for energy stored inside the inductor is half Li square. Now the important points which we have to remember is that energy is stored inside the inductor in the form of magnetic field, and in case an alternating source of EMF is connected across the inductor, then during one half cycle energy is stored in the inductor from the source of EMF, and in the next half cycle the same amount of energy is returned to the source of EMF. That is why average energy consumed by the inductor over complete cycle is 0, which we will see later on in our next chapter, alternating current. Now self-inductance of a long solenoid. Let us consider a solenoid. Let its length be L, cross-sectional area is A, N is the number of turns per unit length, I is the current flowing through the solenoid. Then magnetic field inside solenoid, B is equal to mu naught Ni. So magnetic flux linked with each turn of the solenoid will be B into A. Total magnetic flux linked with the solenoid is equal to magnetic flux linked with each turn into total number of turns. So we know that phi is equal to L into I. So comparing these two equations, we get the expression for L as mu naught N square A into L. So this gives us the expression for self-inductance of a solenoid. That's all. Thank you for watching. In our next video, we will see mutual induction.